with Lauren Stallone.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight at the London courthouse, where the mother of a toddler who died almost 10 years ago broke down and sobbed while testifying on the stand today during the trial of a babysitter charged in connection with the death. CTV's Nick Paparella has more.
The heartache of a mother who lost a child was apparent as Roseanne Vanderweel testified about the final hours of her young son's life. It was in October of 2015 that the lifeless body of 15-month-old Nathaniel McClellan was given to her after a day at the babysitter's house. At the time, 46-year-old Megan Van Hoof ran an unlicensed daycare from her home in Strathroy. Vanderweel said as she handed over her son, he was unresponsive. She kept saying she was sorry. The mother rushed her toddler to hospital, and through tears, she went on to say, "His eyes were closed. He was lifeless. I thought he was dead, and I screamed." Vanderweel was frantic as she asked hospital staff, "Please help my baby. Please help my baby." While at hospital, she said, "I was asked if there was anything that could have caused these injuries, and I was not aware of anything." Then later she said, because of an injury to the child's head, "I was present when my husband asked the nurses to call the police." Officers would eventually end up interviewing everyone involved, and 6 years later in 2021, Van Hoof would be charged with manslaughter. She has pled not guilty. Later in the day, Nathaniel's mother was cross-examined by Van Hoof's defense lawyer, who questioned her about the toddler's condition in the days before he died. Vanderweel was asked about the statements given to police officers and the recordings she made with other professionals in the months and years after the death, saying, "I didn't trust the police. They considered us suspects until charges were laid." She added, "I've been living with the death of my child for a very long time. I'm still working towards justice for my son. I want to know what happened." The trial is slated to last more than 4 weeks. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
One person suffered minor injuries after a downtown crash involving an LTC bus. It happened around 10:15 this morning at the intersection of Richmond and Oxford. Eastbound traffic on Oxford was completely blocked. An LTC inspector was called along with a second bus, but it wasn't needed. There is no word on possible charges. A woman who was seriously hurt in a crash last week near the downtown core has died. The province's Special Investigations Unit says a pickup truck fleeing from police collided with an SUV at the intersection of Queens Avenue and Williams Street on September 10th. The 67-year-old woman was inside the SUV and suffered critical injuries. She died in hospital Thursday. A 45-year-old truck passenger and a 70-year-old man from the SUV were also hurt. Witnesses or anyone with video of the incident is asked to contact SIU. Canada and Mexico have agreed to a strategic partnership, vowing deeper ties in the face of Donald Trump's trade war on both countries. The U.S. is expected to make major demands during renegotiations of the trilateral trade agreement known as CUSMA. CTV's Judy Trin reports. The federal government tabled new legislation today cracking down on hate, including the use of terrorism-related symbols. Justice Minister Sean Fraser introduced 4 new criminal code offenses. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
The flames went up the door.
Cantor Henry Topaz's Montreal synagogue has been firebombed twice since the Hamas terror attack of October 7th, 2023. He says the government's new hate crime bill is a step in the right direction.
The idea of vulnerable infrastructure, notably houses of worship, are now more protected than they ever have been before.
Tabling of documents.
Bill C-2 has 4 new hate-related criminal offenses, including making it a crime to promote hate against an identifiable group through symbols, including a swastika and those from designated terror groups, making hate-motivated crime a specific offense, and making it a crime to obstruct or intimidate people trying to access places of worship and other places like schools used by an identifiable group.
The prevalence of hate crimes in this country that steal those freedoms are something that should shock the conscience of every Canadian.
Statistics Canada shows police-reported hate crimes targeting religion have been on the rise, largely due to attacks on Jews and Muslims. In 2024, there were 229 Islamophobic attacks and 920 anti-Semitic.
The application of it is going to be really important to make sure that the right balance is struck between, making sure that Canadians still have, the basic ability to express themselves, and we're maintaining civil liberties.
The Justice Minister says that balance was top of mind when crafting the new bill. It's not clear yet what support this minority government may get from other parties as this bill moves its way through the House. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A solidarity rally was held over the noon hour in support of striking Fanshawe college workers.
We support your demand for better working and learning conditions. We support your resistance against privatization. And above all, we support your call for a fair and just deal.
The rally was organized by the London and District Labour Council. Representatives from a number of local unions came out to bolster the spirits of OPSU Local 109 members. They're part of a province-wide walkout by support workers in Ontario colleges. There are about 650 members of Local 109 at Fanshawe, and they fill most of the non-academic roles in the school. They're facing the impacts by staffing cuts currently underway at the college. A task force recommends London City councillors receive a 33% pay raise next term to compensate for rising workloads and responsibilities. But as CTV's Daryl Newcomb explains, they can't be required to work full-time hours for that full-time pay.
Certainly it is a jump, but I think it's also really catching up from a long time.
The Council Resourcing Review Task Force will recommend significant increases to City Councillor pay and expenses for the next term of council. They're currently paid London's median full-time employment income, which will be almost $71,000 come November 2026. But the task force recommends a 33% raise to more than $94,000 a year, equal to the 70th percentile. A previous task force had defined city councillor as a full-time role, but several still own businesses or work external jobs. This task force suggests, quote, the expectation that a councillor's role constitutes full-time service be clarified and reinforced in council documents, but admit there's no way to require full-time hours from a councillor.
Cementing that as the full-time council role, that's the expectation should be there, and so commensurate salary to that point. And also, I think, we've seen a lot from the comparator municipalities. Some of them are even beyond where that salary is right now.
Base pay would be boosted an additional 4% for standing committee chairs and 8% for the deputy mayor and budget chair positions, which would end up topping $100,000. No pay raise is recommended for the role of mayor. Updated census figures for full-time employment income are expected in the fall of 2027. The task force recommends that trigger an automatic change to councillors' base pay, and if the economy were to slow, that could potentially mean their pay would go down.
If you're in a role that's serving the constituents of your community and the community is not doing as well, I think it's fair that then potentially goes down. But if the community is doing well, there is the other side of it that it could go up.
Acknowledging rising costs and workload, the current $13,500 general expense account is recommended to become a $10,000 general expense account, plus a new dedicated $15,000 account to retain a part-time assistant.
Obviously, it's an increase in the expenditures, and that's something that council will decide or not if they're interested in. But I think really what it is it's looking at how can they best serve their constituents.
On October 3rd, the task force will finalize its recommendations. Then it will be up to City Council to decide if any changes are made to next term's pay and expenses. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
The City of London is defending its move to paint over a sign promoting a Richmond Row cannabis shop. Our story this week on the controversial action has sparked widespread online reaction, with many suggesting the move was an overreach. Here's CTV's Sean Irvin.
As black paint was applied to hide the Your Highness Cannabis sign on Tuesday afternoon, it was already clear the controversy could not be covered up. Online and on the streets, many immediately accuse the city of bureaucratic overreach.
That's a little ridiculous. They need a sense of humor.
The move to paint over the sign began 3 years ago, according to the owner of the business, Ali Khan. Earlier this week, he spoke to CTV News off camera about his frustrations with city staff and city councillor Peter Cuddy. Now he's expressing them before the lens.
Well, we're still trying to digest this, what happened to our mural. We just need to get clarification from the city council.
Khan tells CTV News he has attended multiple meetings with Cuddy over the past several years. During each session, he was told the city wanted to paint a more welcoming sign over his message. And each time, Khan offered the same response.
And my question was like, what's wrong with my mural? Why do you want to take down my mural and put yours?
Cuddy has told CTV News the city went through the proper channels before acting. However, when pressed, he could not explain in detail what process gave the city the legal right to paint over the sign. So we asked bylaw staff for an answer. They cited confidentiality in part, but made it clear the sign was deemed a third-party advertisement that failed to meet both the property standards and signage bylaws.
In this case, there were a number of bylaw violations under the signs bylaw, but we addressed this under the property standards bylaw, which requires that all exterior surfaces on a building are maintained.
Khan has argued that he recently repainted the sign to meet those demands at a cost of $16,000. However, what's also at play is how the sign ended up on the building in the first place. The city says that when it appeared, public complaints followed. Khan has his own take.
I don't know if there's any proper approval because it's a paint job, just like a mural you see anywhere else.
But the city disagrees and maintains its action was justified.
I can certainly say that I am confident that our team followed the process in this case.
I'm not trying to pick a fight with city or try to fight with anybody. I think it's just the way they handle it. It could be a discrimination, or it could be they didn't know what they were doing and they just went ahead with it.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
The reconstruction of Goderich's downtown is hurting local businesses. CTV's Scott Miller has more on the 2-year-long construction project that's progressing but still causing pain.
The bulldozers are slowly moving their way along Goderich's Square as Phase 1 and 2 of the town's downtown reconstruction project near completion.
Things are going good, better than expected actually.
Work to replace century-old water and sewer pipes under Goderich's Courthouse Square began in May. The work, which also includes new intersections, sidewalks, lampposts, planter boxes and trees, is almost done in Phase 1. That's from South to East Street. The bulk of the construction is now moved into Phase 2 between South and West Street. The old pipes are already dug up from that stretch, and work on rebuilding the road is underway.
But the big thing is they are on time, so we're hopeful that Phase 2 will be completed by the end of November. Stop for the winter. Phase 3 and Phase 4 on the other side of the square will start up early spring, hopefully.
And that can't come soon enough for Goderich's downtown business owners like Steve Bruce, who runs Steve and Mary's restaurant, firmly within Phase 2 of the construction zone.
Business has slowed down, obviously. It's kind of hard to get to the restaurant a little bit. The sidewalks are moved. We've got some light gravel down, which is access. But we're just going to manage through it and push our way through.
Now, while some of the local business owners and the mayor are trying to put as much of a happy face on this as possible, there is no question that the downtown construction project has hurt businesses in downtown Goderich.
On average, we're looking at about 25 to 30% down in revenue is what they're sharing with us. So it is substantial, right? But the businesses are still open to serve the public that want to come here. It is accessible.
Our staff understand. They're working with us on things. You know, they've had some reduced hours because of lack of traffic coming in the front door, but they're here for the long haul as well. Most of our staff was here during COVID, and this is just another version, I guess you could say.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. Just ask the businesses between South and East Street watching sidewalks being stamped today.
We've done okay through it, and people have stuck with us, but this will be a lot easier for them.
I can be mad about it, I can be angry and curse everybody, but I'm not going to. This is a positive thing for the town. It's replacing piping that's 100 years old, which needed to be done. Well, so let's get it done, rip off the Band-Aid, and next year we're going to have at least half the square is going to have nude frontage, and it's going to be an amazing place to be.
In Goderich, Scott Miller, CTV News.
September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and today they held a special event recognizing the work being done in oncology here in London, with those most affected at the center of the celebration.
Lots of space. Put it on there.
Good job, sweetie.
All right.
Young patients took part in the handprint ceremony, leaving their impression on a pair of Hyundai SUVs. Hyundai Canada donated $100,000 as part of their Hope on Wheels fundraising effort, which supports pediatric cancer centers. The local Finch Hyundai group topped up that amount with an additional $40,000. Today's event was also a celebration of oncology healthcare providers at Children's Hospital.
I'm very privileged to represent a very large team of committed healthcare providers and families dedicating their lives and their everyday to children and families affected by childhood cancer. And I think we need to applaud them for a great celebratory day, but recognize there's a lot of hard days in between. So I thank everyone that identifies themselves as being a part of our team on pediatric oncology today.
The London Knights started their defense of the Memorial Cup tonight at Canada Life Place.
Ontario Hockey League and Memorial Cup champions, your London Knights.
Before the game, both the OHL Memorial Cup championship banners were raised. The Knights took a 2-0 lead in the second, but Owen Sound would tie it up in the third. This one needed overtime, and that's when Jacob Terrien stepped in, burying the game-winning goal. London drops their first game of the year 3-2 in overtime. The Knights are back at it tomorrow when they head down the 401 to take on the Windsor Spitfires. Canada Life Place held a topping off ceremony today to celebrate the expansion of the facility. A number of dignitaries were on hand to sign a beam that will be a part of the new back of house expansion. Here's a preview of the new changes to a staple in the community.
Look back to 2002, it was pretty incredible. Mark and Dale had bought the Knights. They were playing at the Ice House, maybe drawing 2,000 people, 2,500 people, inadequate facility. There had never really been an arena in London of this nature, and there were doubters at the time. We originally had curtains here, because if the team could only draw 4,000 or 5,000, we could pull curtains down. We've never used them.
Although this facility is almost pristine as it was back in 2002, other communities have caught up to us.
London is a place where people come for education, where they come for healthcare, where they come for commerce, and of course for entertainment. And this venue is really at the center of that. So this investment that has been made by the city in partnership with Oakview Group and Ellis Don is really going to help transform this building to the next phase.
When it was first opened, we were kind of one of the top venues in terms of amenities and upgrades, and other communities have started to catch up. So this allows us to get back up to the top step there and compete with those bigger communities like we always have to continue hosting major events.
One of the biggest things that fans are going to see when they come to Canada Life Place is our new concession stands. And really what that does is alleviate the lines on the concourse. Instead of waiting, heading up to a belly up type stand, fans are going to be able to come in, grab the items they want, go check themselves out, and then get back to their seats before they miss a minute of the action. We're really excited to welcome everyone back to Canada Life Place for the start of a new night season. Kind of exciting that we're doing this topping off in the same night that the Knights are going to be dropping their banners from last season. So it's a great day for this arena, this community, the city. So we're just excited for everyone to come down and celebrate with us.
Coming up, an unexpected love story. After weeks of searching, this Barnyard bachelor has found a mate.
5K a day is back on 97.5
Virgin Radio.
Listen to Jeff, KP, and Backstage Ben for your chance to win $5,000
every weekday.
5K a day.
Virgin Radio.
Canada's main stock index ended the week with a more than 300-point jump, helped by strength in base metals. In Toronto, the TSX gained 315 points, and in New York, the Dow added 173, while the Nasdaq is up 161. The Canadian dollar rose 0.05 of a cent today, and on commodity markets, gold gained more than $27 an ounce, and oil fell 86 cents a barrel. Canada and Mexico have agreed to a strategic partnership, vowing deeper ties in the face of Donald Trump's trade war on both countries. The U.S. is expected to make major demands during renegotiations of the trilateral trade agreement known as CUSMA. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
Look at that, pride of Canada right there.
Prairie wheat being offloaded from a Canadian train in Mexico. A choreographed moment to emphasize how improving rail lines, ports and pipelines can lead to economic growth in both countries. The Prime Minister's strategic partnership with President Claudia Sheinbaum aims to boost trade with Mexico. The results will be tracked.
Every 3 months, there will be an accountability mechanism for us to reconvene with Mexico, and in particular, the ministers responsible for the various items in the action plan.
The plan also calls for more cooperation in fighting drug cartels and human trafficking. But analysts say this meeting was more about concerns that the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement is unraveling.
It really is about making sure that we're singing from the same songbook, and that Mexico and Canada are not going to get played off of one another.
This after some troubled trade history. During the first Trump administration, Mexico signed a side deal that threatened a North American agreement. But these two leaders say they're committed to negotiating a continental agreement.
CUSMA, USMCA, is strength together. It's strength of the three countries together.
Now, after the U.S. launched public consultations, Canada is doing the same.
Formally, the beginning of the Canadian consultative process with Canadian industry, businesses, workers.
In the meantime, LeBlanc will be visiting Washington in the next few weeks to continue trade talks. He'll also be leading a trade mission to Mexico in the near future. All this as CUSMA is set to expire in June 2026. Judy Trin, CTV News, Mexico City.
Rita Ismail joins me on the desk now. Rita, it was a beautiful day today, and it is still so nice out there. What does the weekend look like for us?
A little bit of that for tomorrow, Lauren. A gorgeous day ahead for your Saturday. Sunday, we do have a little bit of rain in the forecast, but not until later in the afternoon. Today, as you mentioned, a beautiful day, 23 degrees, slightly above what's normal for this time of year, which is 20. Overnight, it was nice and mild at 13 degrees. Now, the record was set on this day in 1955, 32 degrees, record low 2 in 1973. Clear conditions as we head into the night. Comfortable as well. Not a lot on the satellite radar until at least Sunday. We're tracking a low pressure system that will swing on over the Great Lakes by Sunday afternoon. We're looking at 3 o'clock, passing over Lake Huron, and then we're actually going to dip into that moisture here in London and the possibility for some thunderstorms as well. So overnight clear and 11. Tomorrow we'll wake up to mainly sunny skies. The winds a bit breezy ahead of that system. They'll be out of the east 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. 19 by noon, and then much like today, 23, and mainly sunny conditions for your Saturday afternoon. Remaining dry throughout the whole day tomorrow. Won't be until Sunday when that system swings through and we'll dip into that rainfall. 26 though, Sunday and Monday, that is associated with that low pressure system swinging through, ushering in some warmth. But then once it exits late day Monday, it will leave behind a cooler air mass. And of course, fall arriving on Monday, so it'll certainly feel like autumn by Wednesday at 19 degrees. Midwestern Ontario, lots of sunshine for you tomorrow. Get outdoors and enjoy. 22 degrees, warming up to 25 on Sunday. The rain pushing through. Higher probability for you in terms of thunderstorm risk, especially at about 3 to 4 p.m. Monday, some wraparound showers as well, 24, and then we drop down to 20 degrees Tuesday through to Thursday, and a few showers in store again on Friday with a daytime high at or slightly above seasonal 21 degrees. Lauren?
Thank you, Rita. We'll be back after this. Finally tonight, an update on a unique love story. A Barnyard bachelor has found his match. CTV's Alexandra Hollick has the story.
The Princess Buttercup.
Trotting out of her carriage, this 7-year-old miniature donkey is making herself known.
Day by day, she's, snuggling in, and she's going to be fantastic.
Buttercup arrived at Erin Hill Acres on Monday, following the farm's months-long hunt for the Jenny to their Jack.
We got inquiries basically across Canada, if not globally.
That girl good? Hank had several options to choose from, eventually setting his sights on a sweetheart from Sinopoli Farm.
Buttercup is one of a kind.
Wendy Sinopoli says she had no idea the Barnyard Bachelor was just a short drive away.
One of my girlfriends actually texted me and said, "Have you seen this donkey on the TV and looking for love?" And I said no. And she sent it over to me, and everything started from there.
The arranged donkey ship has started taking shape.
We're easing them in a little bit. We have them in similar pastures.
You could say it's love at first bite. And excitement is in the air.
You could probably hear in the background there, Hank is very excited that Buttercup's out.
But the pair will have to spend some time apart before they're put in the same pasture.
We're still in the courting phase of the relationship.
Now, of course, we couldn't leave without talking to the Jenny of the hour herself. So, Buttercup, what are your honest thoughts about your potential husband, Hank? A lot to say. While Buttercup may be a woman of few words, Hank speaks for himself. Erin Hill Acres says a wedding is on the way for Hank and Buttercup, but for now, they're taking things one hoof at a time. Alexandra Hollick, CTV News, Erin.
That's our time tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Lauren Stallone. We'll see you next time. Good night.